Big teeth. Mark Ruffalo.
I think Mark Ruffalo at his worst.
The best thing that he did was the Trump dance. That was the best. That was the most like realistic thing that he did the whole time.
Welcome to Burnt or Buttered Quick Movie Reviews.
That's what we say, and you better believe it.
We have a hot one for you today.
Bong Joon Ho's new movie.
Mickey 17.
Or 18.
Whichever one you like
but
more.
It's 17.
The title of the movie is Mickey 17. There is a Mickey 18, though. That's the secret.
Yeah, the secret. Here's the secret. Here's how you make a movie. You hire one actor, and you say, could you do two jobs? And they say, yeah, I think I could do that. The only one who can is Robert Pattinson. So you better hope that that's who you're talking to.
Whoa. We don't know if the Michael B. Jordan duo is going to be better than Mickey 17.
Because here's the thing. In 2025, the trend is let's make one actor do two parts. It's groundbreaking. Nobody else has done this except for in 2025 and also, The Parent Trap. Oh, that's the same. Yeah. I got mixed up with Full House for a second where it was two actors playing one character, but this world is confusing people.
All I know is that these people need to get bigger budgets because I think that they're just getting these A-list actors and they're like, we can't hire another one.
We cannot hire another actor of this caliber.
So let's just make two of them. And I mean, it's kind of fun in different ways where you can see the actors' range that they're playing, crazy different people and, emotions and everything around it. I think Mickey 17 is an interesting one in that way. But it's kind of already getting old in 2025.
And also, is it only men who are allowed to play two characters? Is this an equal opportunity issue?
Are you thinking like Lindsay Lohan is like just the pinnacle?
She was a child at the time.
And so was either children or
I want to see an adult Lindsay Lohan parent trapping a kid.
There's definitely other movies that have had
double female.
Yeah, double female leads. But
that's what I'm about.
It hasn't happened in 2025 yet.
We haven't seen that preview.
It's probably going to happen within the next couple of months.
Oh, though. Yeah. We'll have a Jennifer Lawrence or something like that.
So back to Mickey 17. This is based off a book, or roughly based off a book called Mickey 7. And when you're going through this movie, Robert Pattinson is doing a lot of voiceovers, and you understand that he signed up to be an expendable in a space expedition to a new planet.
Niflheim.
And what it means to be an expendable is that you upload your body chemistry and your memories into a database that then is processed through a human printer, that when you die, you can just be reprinted and uploaded with the memories that you had before. And so you can continue to do the riskiest things that there is to establish this new world.
Yeah, and it's really driven home to you that the word expendable means expendable. We're not talking about Expendables, Expendables 2, Expendables 3. We're talking about literally this guy's expendable. In Expendables, people don't die, not the main characters. In this one, it's all about death.
All about death. And the expendable is like used specifically for death. Like they want him to die. They want him to experience the things that like normal humans would die doing. He's basically a lab rat that's a total less than. Like they look at him as if he does not matter because he can just be reprinted. It's an interesting class caste system that has been created into this world, in so much that it has been outlawed on Earth to reprint human beings. And the reason being is because if you have multiples of a human, then how do you charge that human for the crimes that they might commit? Is it you charge both of them? Is it that you just charge the one that committed the crime? Or are they one or are they two? Yeah.
Are they real people? Are they manufactured? Are they essentially just a companion? You know, like, are they just something that's created and there's no actual soul in them, you know?
And so with this, we follow Mickey 17 because there's been 16 other Mickeys that have died up to this point. He then accidentally becomes a multiple where Mickey 18 is created, and we figure out and follow along Mickey 17 and 18 on their path as far as which one is going to die and or live. And there's a bunch of different things that happen along the way, as far as Mark Ruffalo's character, which he's the kind of the supreme leader of this ship, you know, establishing a new world and a new world order, and relationships and things as well.
Big teeth, Mark Ruffalo.
I think Mark Ruffalo at his worst.
The best thing that he did was the Trump dance. That was the best. That was the most like realistic thing that he did the whole time.
He's a very interesting character, but let's dive into Behind the Butter and, you know, kind of pick this one apart. I think this is going to be an interesting one. So if you haven't seen the movie, go ahead and skip to our final rating and the final pop. And if you haven't seen the movie, but you still want to see the in-depth review and diving into all the spoilers that we're going to go through in Behind the Butter.
There will be spoilers.
There will be tons of spoilers. Go ahead and keep watching, because this might be the deciding factor for you on if you want to see the movie or not. So stick with us or skip ahead. And yeah, let's get into it.
So I guess starting off, Bong Joon Ho, famous for Parasite, Snowpiercer, what is it called? Aksha?
No idea.
I don't know. I've only seen Parasite and Snowpiercer from his catalog, which I enjoyed both of them. It seems like all of his films kind of look at the same themes, you know, the caste system, wealth inequality, power inequality, and I guess bringing those gaps together. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah, and this one, it does that good, but it also does that in a bad way. I mean, you can see the caste system, you see how they treat Mickey 17, and you see the difference between the supreme leader and everyone else on the ship, the doctors and whatnot. But I feel like there's literally only 3 classes in this show. You have the supreme leader and his wife. You have everybody else, and then you have Mickey 17 or the expendable. And that's why there's not that much depth to it for me, because there isn't really a hierarchy inside of there, other than there's police officers and there's, you know, regular people, but the regular people are all still just as important as anybody else. The only difference when it really comes to it is the supreme leader, is Mark Ruffalo's character. And his wife. For some odd reason, they want to worship this guy,
the Sauce Queen.
And the Sauce Queen. And that's where it kind of loses me, is because it's like, I feel like there should be a lot more levels to this society than there actually is, and maybe there is. We just didn't see it, but it just felt so one-dimensional that way, you know, where if you look at Parasite, you really see a lot of different layers of people and layers inside of each class and each cast, you know, of that. Where in here it's just such major jumps from one to the other. It doesn't really feel that significant.
Yeah, I feel like that's you kind of have to simplify it for a movie like this. You just don't have the time to show everything. And this movie already did feel a little bit long to me.
Yeah, but you could show it in subtleties.
Sure.
You know,
sure.
like...
Subtlety is not Bong Joon Ho's specialty, though. He specializes in food looking disgusting and this caste system portrayal. Those are his strong points from what I've seen, you know. So subtlety... And that's kind of a theatrical tool, is you get rid of these nuances so that you can really punch forward your point, which, to your credit, I don't think he really got there in this one.
I don't at all. And I really thought that the Mark Ruffalo character in general was just really, really annoying and did not hit and strike the point that he was trying to hit and strike. Like, it just felt like a dumbed down version of something that could have been good. Like, you could have had that character be charismatic. You could have had him be somebody that felt like someone worth following. You could have had something in there that gave him some redeeming factor that made you understand why somebody at some point would follow him, whether that was in the past or whether that is now. You needed to feel like there was something other than just like the wealth that he has, and that he had been a politician at some point, that people would follow him. Like, there was no reason why this guy was looked at as some sort of prophet or as some sort of savior,
a cult leader, essentially.
But all cult leaders have a redeeming aspect about them that people want to follow.
Yeah, there's a reason. Yeah, some charisma, some power,
some way of convincing, some way of making people feel like they understand something that you might not. And it just wasn't there for me. It just felt like the lowest hanging fruit that you could do. And maybe it was Mark Ruffalo taking some freedoms into the character of trying to like make this Trump / Elon / like whoever politician, idea of who this guy would be, when I really honestly do not think, like, in this world that exists, it would have been that way. It felt so out of place to me and awkward, and just really made me dislike seeing him on screen.
Yeah, I do think that it's a different type of bad guy from what I've seen from Bong Joon Ho. In Snowpiercer, it's Ed Harris is the bad guy, and he's a very rational person. He speaks intelligently. He almost has you convinced that he's not the bad guy, that this is just the way it has to be, And in this one, the leader barely knows what's going on.
Yeah, and the cult-like following around him makes no sense at all. Like, there is no greater plan other than that he wants to create a superior, like, pure race that's not like that's made by humans and doesn't have any like technology influence into like the reproduction of things. And that's just not enough. It's just really not enough to like really convince me that other than these people just wanted to leave Earth and they were willing to jump on any ship that was going away from Earth.
I do think that there were allusions to reasons. So they mentioned a church that he's associated with, and I almost think that church was what gave him the power. Like, once he aligned himself with the church and said, I'm going to do whatever you say, then the church made him their savior.
Sure. Yeah. And I guess looking back at that, the church guy was always part of all the conversations, and the church, I think was more representative around the idea, because the church guy was all about the footage. He was always about like, we need to get the footage, we need to get the shot. And I think like the idea around that was that they're trying to relate social media and like the fakeness of life is our religion, type idea. But
and if you are the one putting out the story, then you
control the narrative.
Yeah. And there was no other news source on Niflheim, so you're taking what you're getting.
Yeah. I mean, there was a lot about this movie that should have been good. There was so much. Robert Pattinson's performance was kind of the redeeming factor of this movie. I thought that
he did amazing.
Yeah, he did really, really good. Just displaying the nuances of this person's feelings, and the subtlety around. One thing that I do really like about the movie is that it has an idea of what makes us who we are, in the way of each Mickey from 1 to 17 to 18 all had differences that made them individualistic in subtle ways. Like one might be more passive and one's going to be more aggressive. One might be more humorous and funny, and another one's just going to be, bland and logical. And I thought that was interesting, that and my thought around that was just the moments that they decide to latch their selves to was the memories that they decided were important to that version of the Mickey.
Yeah.
Because we go through life and we attach like ourselves to certain pieces or memories that make us who we are, and we decide which ones define like our person,
our core memories. Yeah, I thought it was interesting, and I wish we got a little bit more in-depth view into some of these other Mickeys, and I feel like that would have made the movie a little bit more interesting to me, because Robert Pattinson, like you said, was the best part of this movie. So I wanted more Robert Pattinson.
Well, and in that regard too, Robert Pattinson, or Mickey, was the only character that actually mattered, and that kind of made the movie bad. Every other character did not matter in this film, kind of at all.
Or they take away the reason that you care about that character. When his girlfriend finds out that he's multiples, and her first thought is, let's have a threesome, that kind of makes you less interested in her as a character.
Yeah, it makes her her redeeming aspect before that was that she loved Mickey, and was very, very passionate about loving Mickey, and
that she was always there. She stands up for him,
and they were very, very dedicated to each other. And with that, it would be really interesting to see her relationship with all the Mickeys, because if all the Mickeys are really different each time that they're printed, but they all know that they love her. Yeah. Is she just some sort of freak that loves the cosplay of I get a different Mickey every time he dies?
Yeah.
But he's still the Mickey's still in there, but it's different every time. So I get to experience something different all the time.
Hey, don't knock it till you try it.
Yeah, there's her, then there's Akai, another character that really just didn't give anything, and then his best friend that was supposed to mean something to him or have some sort of redeeming factor of helping Mickey, and it just fell so flat on everything. Even when you're supposed to feel like Mickey's the hero, you don't. It just doesn't.
Because you feel like the other Mickey was the hero.
Yeah, well, it just doesn't make you feel that much. The opening sequence, to the first 45 minutes makes you feel something from Mickey and really gives you an insight of wanting to care. And then the rest of the movie kind of just makes you not care at all.
Yeah, I do think Mickey's the only character that you really care about, because he's the only one who seemingly has humanity. Everybody else, they see the creepers, they want to blast it, it touches them. It's being friendly, and they're like,
Well, of course you would be.
Sure,
You know,
sure.
like,
I don't think my first instinct is to blast it, but
I think it would be like
maybe.
you see a creature that you never seen before that is coming at you. You're gonna assume that it wants to hurt you.
But going back to my point, where Mickey seems to be the only one with humanity, like everybody else, it almost seems like views life as expendable. And he's the one who's continually dying, but he hates it. And everybody else is so obsessed with finding out what's it like to die, you know? And they're completely ignoring the fact that this is a person who continually, habitually dies and is probably being traumatized. Like, people live and are traumatized by the stuff that he has died from.
Yeah.
And so it seems like even though he's the one that would have the least humanity, would have the least reason to want to save humanity, he's the only one who does.
But that's Mickey 17.
Yeah.
Mickey 18 does not feel that way. You know, and
Outwardly, maybe. His actions prove different.
Yeah, you know, he was selfless in a way, and so maybe that was a core aspect of Mickey. You know, that he was eventually always going to be.
That's straight
selfless.
Robert Pattinson, man.
I don't know. It just didn't feel like there was much that it gave me to really invest into the caring if they survived on this planet or not, or that like this expedition worked.
It almost seemed like you almost were rooting against them to win, you know, or to live through this planet. Like, let the creepers have Niflheim, man.
The creepers were interesting. I think the creepers were a good aspect of the movie for sure. That really helped bring home the idea of just humanity in general.
Yeah.
Or like that we are so quick to judge things that we don't understand.
Yeah, the othering, you know, like even within the ship, there were others, you know, that you don't trust or that you don't want around. Every one of his close friends like seemed, yeah. Anyways, he seemed like the one with the most humanity.
Well, what do you think? Should we get into the final plot? Give this thing a verdict?
Yeah, I think so. Why don't you go first?
Okay. I wanted to like this film so much. Like from the trailer, it's so interesting. It feels like it would have been, it feels like it was supposed to be a great film. And I do think that it could have been. There was so much about this that could have been cool and interesting and had a lot of meaning to it. But as I was watching this, I was like, I want to like this, but I can't. I just cannot get into it. I cannot like really dive into what this is trying to tell me. And so with that, I have to give it a 1.9.
Whoa.
It sucks. Like it sucks that I mean it sucks because I want this film to be better. You know, and I think that this could have been great, but like comparing this to Love Me, comparing this to something that actually made me like dive into deep thoughts of like what it means to be alive or what it means to live and or die. This did nothing for me in that regard. Like it was an interesting idea that they got from a book that just did not deliver in the movie. Yeah.
Yeah, so I like Bong Joon Ho as far as the things that I've seen. I was really impressed with Parasite. Snowpiercer I just saw this year, and I didn't have any context, didn't even know it was Bong Joon Ho until I finished it. And this movie felt like Snowpiercer meets Altered Carbon. You know, like it was a copy of 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 a copy, which is why it's Mickey 17. And like you said, I wanted to like it. I liked the majority of it, I think, or at least I was unbothered by it. until probably the final 20-ish minutes. And then there was one sequence in there, one scene that I just thought this was useless and painful, and there was no reason for this to be in the movie. And that kind of soured it for me. So I walked out with a much worse feeling about the movie than I have now after thinking about it for a day. So for me, I'm going to have to give it a 2. Just a little bit above Stetson. Because I liked it. I was invested in Mickey's character. But there's just too much that I didn't enjoy about it. And the themes that were brought up, I feel like were better covered in Parasite. Snowpiercer has almost this exact theme of the caste system, the bad food, the grossness, but it's such a more meaningful story. And the brutality in it is even more... it's just a better vehicle. A train is a better vehicle than a spaceship.
Yeah, and to that credit, we didn't even talk about the last 20 minutes in Behind the Butter, which really was a defining part of that movie, where you come out of that final 20 minutes or 30 minutes or whatever it is, and you're like, why the freak was that in the movie? It is so pointless.
Yeah.
And really messes up so much of the timeline that you're just like, why did you put that in there? Mm-hmm. It literally pisses you off. When it comes back, it pisses you off, and you're like, come on.
Yeah. They took some chances. They took some swings. They struck out on that one.
I don't even know what they were going for there, honestly, but... Well, share this with someone that is super excited about Mickey 17 so we can break their hearts a little bit.
Or if you've seen it and you loved it, let us know that we are idiots.
And you are probably a dumb person. I'm just kidding. I'm sure that there's people that will love this film and see everything that I didn't see in it, mm-hmm. and see the genius that is Bong Joon Ho.
And maybe, 7 years down the road when we rewatch it, we'll be like, why didn't we like this the first time?
Yeah. I think that the trailer just gave such a high expectation for this one that it let me down way too hard.
I was going to ask you while we were in Behind the Butter if you thought that your expectations were maybe too high going into it, and if that would have changed your feeling about it.
I think my expectations were definitely too high, but also I don't think it would have changed how I felt about the movie. I think in the initial, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, I would have got excited just like I got in the trailer. Mm-hmm, and I think I would have been let down just as much. Probably not as hard, I probably wouldn't have been as hard on the movie, but I don't see how I could have watched the movie and thought that was a good film.
Yeah. Yep, it was just too bad.
All right.
Whoopsie.
Whoopsie. All right, well, we'll see you in the next one.